the other person. So don't give the other person the credit for beating you just because they're better. What did you do wrong, or what did you do right? That way you can assess. You lost the fight. Should you have moved somewhere differently than where you did, or should you have thrown a different shot than what you did? So it's all about you, not about the other person. It might take a little bit away from them, but in the long run it will help your fighting to be able to assess what you need to do. So the first thing with line and movement, we'll just cover what is line, and you want to come out. So this is probably seen it before. Line, when you're fighting sword and shield, can be a straight line between you and your opponent, and you want to make sure you maintain that. So that's the first thing, don't stuff up. Quite often the thing about staying alive the longest is you don't want to be the first person to stuff up. If you're that person, you lose the fight. So the first drill is to help with that and trying to maintain your line. So what you'll do, you just get one of the persons to just start movement and a bit of slow work, and all you're doing is defending using your footwork and trying not to throw any shots. So you want to try and maintain that distance, pretend like there's a bit of string between your chest. So if the lane moves around, just pretend I'm trying to keep the distance the same. Not letting him out-position me. So I'm always facing the threat. Okay? So what happens if I don't do that correctly, if the lane moves around, my line is now facing out here where it was originally. He's now got around and has beaten my line. So he's facing me and I'm facing out in the middle of nowhere. So he's won the fight just through footwork. So don't give him an easy win. Use your footwork, and quite often you can do the little circle, big circle thing. So Elaine's doing a big circle coming around. I'll just do little steps. Right, he's using all his energy, and I'm just turning on the spot. So the key to this, we haven't actually gained any advantage. All we're doing is maintaining the equilibrium from the start. Okay, so that's a drill everyone can do just to get you aware of where you should be moving, just trying to stopping the opponent from outmaneuvering you. Next, you want to get the advantage. You want to be able to get around their line. Now, if your opponent's good enough, and from mid-level up, you're going to have trouble with it, but it'll always work against the newer fighters. You want to try and get around that line. So obviously, I want to get into a position where Elaine is still facing forward, and I'm to one side. As soon as I do that, I have the advantage. It doesn't matter how good his defence is, he's going to have to do something crazy to try and block, and by that time he's on the back foot, he's running away or doing something else, and I'm controlling the fight. So the best way I've had to get him out of position is speed so far. So that will be, as soon as the lay-on's called, there's one tactic: initiate the charge and just run at him. So you can come forward and zigzag to the side and do a couple of passing moves. Don't just meander up like this. Right. Unless that's a different style altogether. The aim of this is to try and get him offline. If you're just slow, if you're just doing a reactory fight, he can control the fight as much as you. What you want to do is get him on the back foot as soon as possible and as quickly as possible. So as soon as Leon's called, start the move. Try and throw in a feint. So you might lead this way and then jump across to the other side. As long as you can move quicker than them, you'll get the advantage. Obviously, if he knows what he's doing, he's going to be using small circles to my big circles, so I'll be tiring myself out while he's just doing little steps. So in that case, you need to be able to assess your opponent as soon as you can, otherwise you're just going to tire yourself out. Any questions on that? It's all pretty basic stuff. So what you'll then find, if you can't outposition them, you're either going to get into a slugfest up close, if that's what they want to do, or you're not going to be able to get the really sweet lines on the person, okay? So then you're most likely going to end up in a situation where you're either facing off like this, or you're in close. And in this situation, start getting, this is where it can become a bit more tricky, and Alan's a good one for it. There can be little subtle shifts in line, okay? You don't necessarily need to move your whole body, like I was showing you at the start. I should probably get Alaric up to show it, but he'll do little things like keep the body where it is, but move the feet around, okay? So that's subtly shifting the line from here to here. the torso really hasn't moved much, but it's getting a slight angle. And if you can just do small movements, hide it behind your shield, maybe wave the sword around a little bit, get them feeling threatened, okay? You can inch around and maybe get the 5-10 degrees you need, and that might be enough to get the leg shot or the wrap around the side of the head that you wouldn't otherwise get. So obviously, the higher up the opponent, you're not going to get those wicked shots where you're standing behind the person and whacking them, right? You have to utilise those small degrees of vulnerability. You got anything to add to that?
The only other thing that I do, if I can keep using the lane, is that when I'm in that sort of position here, as you say, I would always look for a misdirect to hide that change of footwork, and then I'd actually might step away. But I actually, even though I've sort of pulled away, I've promoted the shoulder, and then with another little step, that line now becomes very apparent and much easier to get around. The other thing that I do is range, is I'm just in range, I'm really out of range. I'm really in range, I'm really out of range. I haven't moved my feet, and if I'm slightly across my opponent, it also changes the line. I can look like I'm fighting in, but I'm now totally clear and away from them. I can then move in, fight in, a little bit here, and then all of a sudden, you're around and a lot closer. So as long as you can maneuver so your weight's always on the inside of your knees, because you don't want to strain your knees, you can get quite a difference on your opponent just by subtly moving and shifting your weight as well as your line.
So, so that's new fighters, you'll get more line. Next level up, that subtle movement, trying to get as much as you can, but it's only going to be a little bit. Working on defence, you need to be able to pick that movement. Okay, so don't. If someone's making these small adjustments, make sure you're doing the corresponding adjustment to get out of the way, because you're just handing them the advantage. If you're ever still just waiting, chances are you've missed the cue and you're already dead. Right? You need to be able to read those signs and get out of there. Okay. So if you're not comfortable sitting there facing off against Alric, for example, while he's doing this, back off. Or, even though it may not accomplish much, just twist around a little bit and make him reset. And get him out of his game, or whoever they are, right? And hand you the control back. I think I might get Sebastian out. Just something with left-handers. We were talking about defence, and don't be the first person to stuff up, because you'll die. Right? Lefty, actually, have you got the shield here at all? No, didn't plan that too well. Okay. I just want, with the defence against the lefty, you've with the line. So this is also using the line to defend. You normally we'll just do a block, okay, and you might be able to just duck or rotate on the spot, okay, with any normal shot. But as soon as you step around, or as soon as you've got a lefty, the lines are all out, and we'll get into the line of the person versus the line of the weapon. But you've got to be aware that when the shot's coming in, the person line might be here, but the line at close range, the line is now also changes to where the sword is. Okay, so my line of I might be facing you here, but my line of attack might be coming in 20 degrees out of plums. Okay, so you need to address that. So with a typical lefty, you might naturally put your shield over a bit more, or with a righty, you're used to fighting over. So that you naturally counter to that, but if they take the step a little bit further, there's only so much over that you can go with your arm. Okay, so that's where you need to use your footwork. So instead of just doing that, you need to step back to cover that defence. Use a small circle where you need to step forward and adjust those angles. So whether it's righty or lefty, it's very evident with the lefty. When you're coming up, because quite often you've got the wraps and stuff coming around. Sebastian's very good at it. You get a back leg out of the way very quick, okay? And then you just clicked on the shield, which you step back altogether. But all you need to do is swing around out of the shot. And that then opens me up. So I'm still facing this way. She's used line to disengage my shot, but also get her line behind me. So that's using defence. The other thing you use your line for in terms of defence, instead of moving to get out of the road of the shot, use your line to step through the shot. So if you're just throwing a snap, rather than me trying to disengage this way, I can step through, right, and take the shot. So what that does, instead of being on the back foot, and maybe running away or whatever, not taking the initiative, it allows me to push through, I block the shot, and I can keep controlling and then move through. That's with sword and board. So that's basically. So just to recap, you don't want to lose the initiative. You want to keep control of the fight. You do that by not stuffing up. You want to make sure you, at the very least, you're readdressing the line all the time. Keep them in range. Keep the line square. Okay. If you can, get them out of alignment by using your speed. If they're too good and you can't get the speed, try and use subtle shifts, all right, of your body. So swing around like this, try and get them out of alignment. If they're still too good for that, and they're harassing you and you're the one on the back foot, use your line to block. Rather than trying to go like this to block your shots, if you use your footwork, you're still in position to riposte with your sword, okay? So you haven't lost everything, you're still in a good position to attack. And I guess that's the summary of footwork with sword and board. With a glaive, it's a little bit different.
Right, hold on 1 second.